Alright folks, this isn't going to be a normal location guide. You see, when it comes to the Fog Islands, there are two kinds of players. First you have...
I am never going to financially recover from this.
And then there's... My hope is that after watching this video, you'll identify more with the second kind of player, because the Fog Islands really is a region that has a lot of potential. And in my opinion, the big $100 question worth asking before you enter the Fog Islands is, can my characters run 20 miles per hour? If you have characters that cannot, and their run speed is, I would say, especially if their run speed is less than 18 miles per hour, then you should just leave them behind. Don't even take them in there. The punchline here is that the fog drones in this area run 18 miles an hour and the fog soldiers run 20 miles per hour. If you're not able to escape from them and you're injured or you're knocked unconscious, your characters are going to be eaten, and that's not great. If your run speed is high enough though, doesn't matter what your character's combat abilities are, they'll be fine as long as they can outrun the Fogmen. Whether it's to start a base or rescue our boy Beep, you're going to want to go to Mongrel first. Once you arrive in Mongrel, your opportunities open up significantly. You can recruit Beep for free. He'll provide unending enthusiasm and support for your squad. If you go into the bars in Mongrel, you'll have tons of recruits like Crumble John and Shrike. There's also going to be mercenaries in these bars that you can recruit in an emergency. Mongrel's shops are superb. You'll be able to find building materials, armor, weapons, prosthetics. The list goes on. Setting up shop in Mongrel temporarily while you prepare to create your base is an excellent strategy too. You can buy property in Mongrel. They have a small shack as well as a larger building. And if you're in a pinch, you can always mine the iron ore veins outside the city gates if you need a little bit of extra money. Alright, now let's say you're looking to stay in the Fog Islands, potentially set up a base here. What do you need to know? First and foremost, let's talk about the Fog Boi Hierarchy. The Fog Boi Hierarchy goes like this. You have the Fog Princes at the top, Fog Heavies after that, and then Fog Men after that. Fog Men, their job is to knock people out and take them to the death yard poles where their victims or their folks that they capture are then eaten by the Fog Princes. Fog Heavies, their main job is going to be to escort the Fog Princes from death yard to death yard so that the princes can eat whoever has been captured. While each member of the Fog Boi Hierarchy has absolutely no armor at all, the Fog Heavies have decent combat stats, and the Fog Men spawn in swarms, so their win condition is overwhelm the opponent, knock at least one out, and then abduct who has been knocked out. This doesn't sound terrifying at all, does it? So why even bother with the Fog Boys? Why even go to the Fog Islands? Why even interact with them at all? Well, the Fog Princes, you can rip off their heads, and their heads have a value of 6,000 cats. Even in the later stages of the game, 6,000 cats is a good amount of money. If this kind of risk and danger excites you, then let's talk about actually setting up a base in the Fog Islands. Right off the bat, Fog Islands, geographically, it's in a decent location. Being close to both the Holy Nation as well as the high villages in Vane is nice. It's really not that far away from the border zone in the Shek Kingdom too. There are some research materials locations as well as Burns Tower up north. And then, to be honest, being close to Mongrel is a major perk in and of itself because Mongrel is one of the best cities in the game. Now with fertility, this is where things get a little bit crazy. The Fog Islands have both green and arid fertility. So the fertility is on par with places like Gut and with Green Beach. With stone, iron, and copper, Fog Islands passes with flying colors too. With the only real deficit being water, but the water levels are high enough to where if you build an extra well or two, you're going to be fine. I will say though, a major downside to the Fog Islands is its terrain is super uneven. There's hills and mountains and valleys just everywhere. So if you don't have an idea of where you're going to set up your base, it's going to be hard to find a good spot. So I went ahead, I scouted the area, and I picked out a couple of spots. I will mark them here. Keep in mind, this spot here is the gold standard for the Fog Islands. It's where folks usually settle because it's on elevated ground and there's just a ton of space to work with. As far as important considerations when setting up your base, first off, don't be ashamed to go back to Mongrel, to hang out there, restock and resupply, and then head back to where you're setting up your base. Now it's alright to set up your base in steps instead of all at once. When you do start setting up your base, your defenses are going to be of the utmost importance. So what I like to do is form my walls around a resource like iron. Make sure that they're the basic type of walls. That way they only take one building material per section. I'll build up a gate and then put a storm house behind that gate where I can mount my turrets. This saves on building materials because I don't need to build the upgraded walls to mount the turrets. I can just use a building instead. Since the Fog Boys are going to go for abducting your characters, if you have any that are injured or unconscious, you're going to want to get them inside the gates, inside whatever building you have, and ideally the door will be locked too. You want to make it as hard as possible for the Fogmen to get in and take one of your characters away. Provided you survive long enough, your characters are going to start leveling up so quickly, and eventually you're going to have an upper hand on the Fog Boys. When your characters are experienced enough, I'd recommend looking into taking out hive princes that are being escorted in between death yards. That way you only have to fight the fog heavies. There is no shame in retreating either, because it's super unpredictable how many fog drones are going to show up. So if you feel like things are getting too dicey, then a tactical retreat might be in order. Moving into some more aggressive strategies, once your characters really know what you're doing and you got things figured out, or at least you think you have things figured out, you can start moving towards people who are screaming because they're being eaten in one of the death yard camps. In a death yard, if someone's being eaten, that usually means that there's a prince there, which means money. But if you do decide to interrupt the Fog Boys' eating ritual, be warned, you could end up fighting a lot of Fog Boys. If you're unable to find an active death yard where an eating ritual is taking place, then you can tie another character up to one of the poles and a Fog Prince will be attracted to that death yard. This especially comes in handy if you want to fight close to your base location. You don't want to fight on the other end of the Fog Islands. You want to fight right on your doorstep. That way it's easier to get people out or bring in reinforcements and all that. And lastly, beyond training your characters and hunting hive princes, you have the ever so delicate ritual of tying your own character up to a death yard pole and then having their limbs eaten off so you can replace them with prosthetics. Aside from jumping straight into a peeler machine, this is the fastest way you can produce character development. Well, when all is said and when all is done, the Fog Islands is an excellent spot to build a base. You have the combat experience and potential income from fighting the Fog Boys, paired with the high fertility and the abundance of natural resources, and you have just a matchmake in heaven. Before I close this video out, I just want to say thank you all for watching this guide, and for those of you who have subscribed, your engagement is much appreciated. It means the world to me. Also, let me know in the comment section below if there's an area in Kenshi that deserves more attention. You can open the playlist linked here to see which guides I've already created, and just feel free to suggest a different location in the comment section below. I will see you all next time.